The Warriors deserve to lose Steph Curry. Now, this video comes from Mike Korzemba, but I honestly made a video talking about it on TikTok last week, how he's in his last year of his deal, and he's more than likely wouldn't be wrong to leave his team after 18 years and 4 titles and being MVP, and he's one of the GOATs. Now, without further ado, let's see how this one gonna go.
The Warriors won just 37 games last season and are now ruining the end of Steph Curry's career. They somehow are the only team to make 0 trades and sign 0 new free agents this offseason. With the reports, the Warriors are comfortable running back the same roster and understand they aren't title contenders. And owner Joe Lacob is focused on building the Warriors' next era after Steph Curry. Because the Warriors are openly telling us that winning a championship with Steph is no longer the priority, many people now want Steph Curry to leave and go to a contender. Teams like the Miami Heat are popping up in rumors.
I said this, people tell me I was crazy, but it just makes sense. It dead ass makes sense, because you got two inside threats in Bam, and most especially Giannis. Giannis already talked about playing, or there was talks of Giannis potentially playing alongside Curry in the past, which would have made a great duo. And then you got Bam and Spoelstra. They all played on Team USA together. And the way that Miami is, I don't know, he would just fit there because he's the greatest shooter of all time.
As the Heat are also heavily in pursuit of Klay Thompson. The Toronto Raptors are also in rumors, with Steph playing with Kawhi. And interestingly, the Rockets have the firepower to move someone like Reed Shepherd and possibly Jabari Smith Jr. Along with Fred VanVleet to reunite Kevin Durant and Steph. But
I wouldn't like that team with, you got Steph, Thompson, what they say, Kevin Durant and Alperen. They're still thin. That's a thin team.
Be thinking, would Steph Curry actually leave the Warriors when he has a chance to retire like Dirk and Kobe and Tim Duncan, a franchise Hall of Fame player for life? Well, what if I told you that
he's already stamped? Like, Steph Curry could retire today and he will be considered everything that we think of Steph Curry. He's an all-time great. All-time great.
On Steph's own words, the Warriors have just been pushing him too far. In the summer of 2024, Steph Curry said flat out, "I've always said I want to be a Warrior for life. At this stage of my career, I feel like that's possible." Only he also said, if it is a situation where you're a bottom feeder and it's just because you want to stay there, I'd have a hard time with that. So let's consider, Steph Curry still has plenty left in the tank and with the right roster could be pushing for a championship. He just averaged 26.6 points and 4.7 assists per game, numbers that are actually very comparable to his 2022 stats, where he led the Warriors to an unlikely championship run over the Celtics. But in a loaded Western Conference, it has been said that Jimmy Butler's target return date is...
Bro, I've been telling... Bro, real Heat fans know about Jimmy, bro. Like, y'all, the people that don't watch Heat basketball be stuck on 2023. Hello? We're going on the 2027 season. Y'all want playoff Jimmy. That shit fucking sailed. Even during that run, there were times where he's stagnant with the ball and he's not being aggressive when you want to be aggressive. He'll shoot 7 shots in a game. And you're the guy that we need to score. And he thought it was going to be, I could hang back and do that and go to state, which honestly, it's better for him in that role. But when they need him, when there's no Steph engine going on, I'm sorry. Everybody's seeing that shit now, bro. And respect Jimmy Butler. But it ain't it no more. Especially how he left Miami.
Which would mean Golden State would have to stay in playoff contention for 30 games without Butler playing. And also without any new additions to their roster other than rookie Yaxel Lendenberg.
That's true,
the Warriors have become the bottom feeder that Steph Curry was worried about. Last season, in the 14 games Steph Curry scored 30 points or more, the Warriors went just...
Gosh, bro. 49, 48, 46, 42... 39, 39, 38, 38, 35, 34. Man, he scored. I don't think he played that many games. I think he played like 40 games last year.
6 and 8. And when he torched Portland for 48 points, breaking Michael Jordan's record for the most 40-point games scored after the age of 30.
Oh, he's still going to keep going.
Lost. Now, a new report tells us that Steph wants a real chance at making a playoff run and is holding out on signing an extension because for the first time in his career, he's waiting to make sure that the Warriors are actually building around him, as he already knows he couldn't win with last year's roster. And the reason why the current roster is not at least a playoff contender is so much worse than you might think. The Rockets have the trade pieces needed to make another huge swing in order to compete in the West, and Steph Curry would actually complement their roster perfectly running next to Amen Thompson. It's possible Houston would only need to give up Reed plus...
I ain't gonna lie, if Amen Thompson get a consistent jumper, and we said this so many times throughout NBA history, it's so easy to say that. Ben Simmons had a jumper, if Giannis got a consistent jumper, if such and such, bro. But if Amen Thompson actually got a jumper, bro, I ain't gonna lie. They'll be definitely hard to beat.
VanVleet plus picks, depending on the trade market for Steph. And imagine last year's Rockets team with Steph Curry running the point and a healthy Kevin Durant in the playoffs. They won 52 games without Steph. They could beat anyone with him. But before we continue, I want to thank Mint Mobile for sponsoring.
Yeah. I want you to thank these nuts. Can you do that for me, Mike?
Breaks out this season. That would be a trade where Steph's assets, unless a guy like Nikola back.
Yo, I'm high on Jovic this year. Remember I said that.
Into that video. Now, Miami definitely has less assets unless a guy like Nikola Jovic breaks out this season. That would be a trade where Steph makes it clear to the Warriors he wants to go to Miami and Golden State grants him his wish. We've seen that happen with star franchise players before. Golden State could take back whatever picks and young players Miami would be willing to give them. And the Heat's defense with Giannis, Bam, Davion Mitchell, and Andrew Wiggins desperately needs a star scorer like Steph. We would instantly see Miami jump to championship contender status with Steph, and Giannis might be in for an MVP type season. The Celtics and now many teams are also being mentioned as potential Steph destinations, and for good reason. Because let me ask you a question here. It's 2022. You're running the Warriors. You just won a championship as Steph Curry proved he can keep you in contention until he retires. Do you go all in on winning for the rest of Steph's career, or do you realize your roster is aging and try to rebuild?
That shit was crazy to me that bro, within 2 years, Clay's not even on the roster anymore. They let pieces like Wiggins is in fucking I forgot Wiggins played with Curry. What the fuck? Oh man, that would be a dream. Bro, the only scenario I really see that happening is if Steph doesn't re-sign this season and he signs as a free agency next year. I don't see a trade situation where he'll come to the Miami Heat. I don't think that's possible.
Golden State Warriors made the insane decision to try to do both. They openly talked about the two-timeline approach, an attempt to blend the 3 first-round picks they had, James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody, with Golden State's dynastic core of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, with a goal of competing for championships.
And let's not forget Jordan Poole. They fucked off on Jordan Poole when he was definitely the missing piece to their championship run as well. Like, fuck. The Warriors, bro, I see why Bob Myers left. He didn't want to be a part of the whole dismantling of the fucking team that he knew that he built up, or that he helped build up.
Simultaneously building for the future. If this was NBA 2K, that would be possible. In real life, James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, and Klay Thompson are gone. The results have been a disaster. And this summer, it feels like we've reached a breaking point. Shams reported that the Warriors could have gotten in the Jaylen Brown sweepstakes if they wanted to give up 4 first-round picks. That is a hefty price tag, I agree, but Jaylen Brown was traded for 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and Paul George. So at first glance, you might be thinking, at least the Warriors didn't get fleeced in a trade. Only, they also didn't get a player in Jaylen Brown who was already a Finals MVP.
But what was that gonna do for y'all roster, bro? I'm gonna be honest. I love Jaylen Brown. I'm very high on Jaylen Brown. What would that do for your roster? Curry, Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and like, I'm sorry. Because to me, you're still kind of in the same boat.
Who just averaged 28.7 points per game, and who, perhaps most importantly, could have gotten LeBron to the Warriors. The Warriors had a very real chance at getting Bron. Instead, he openly has said he went to the team he felt had the best chance of winning a championship with the 76ers. But before the Sixers got Jaylen Brown, Rich Paul has confirmed there wasn't even a radar on Philly in that case. Shams puts it more simply. There is no LeBron James in Philadelphia without Jaylen Brown. So let's also consider Golden State still could have made a move for Brown in this offseason and then recruited LeBron in the process. But because they are focused on life after Steph, the real reason the Warriors didn't make a move for Brown was revealed to be that they couldn't build an organizational consensus that Brown would be the right player to carry the Warriors beyond the Curry era.
And that's where they're wrong. I think right now Brown wouldn't have worked with Curry, but I think in the long term, Jaylen Brown is the lead guy. He's a lead guy. That's why I hate that he ended up going to the Sixers in this fucking shitty situation. I know, oh man, they're going to be the best. No, the fuck they're not, bro. Continuity in the game of basketball is probably 85% of the game. When in a team sport like basketball, continuity is everything. Like, name basketball does not work. People think, oh, you put all these big name, all NBA guys together. Now, granted, the two main X factors to me is how Tyrese Maxey is going to perform, which I think you need to keep the ball in his hands, which when you bring LeBron over there, you're consistently taking the ball out of his hands to put it in LeBron's. And Joel Embiid's knees. If Joel Embiid shows any flash of that MVP season or the year after the MVP season when he came out averaging like 36 points per game in like 29 minutes, and he was just killing the whole fucking league before he got hurt. Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll be definitely hard to beat. But outside of that, I think they're just another team that's going to lose in the first or second round. Second round.
Except, what are we talking about? Golden State has no players on their roster with guaranteed future all-star potential. Instead, they just re-signed Draymond Green to a one-year, $27.7 million deal because they had nowhere else to spend their money after completely striking out. Right now, life after the Steph Curry era looks like Brandon Pajemski carrying them to 16 wins. Their infamous two-timeline approach did not—
Bro, why did he get so much hate, dog? Like Pods, I get it. Like he played kind of flum or whatever, bro. But he's not that bad. But I don't know. I'm not watching the Warriors consistently enough.
Not land them a future star to actually build around when Steph leaves. They realistically just have one timeline. Win now with Steph. Once he's gone, they are in for a major rebuild. So it is very telling to us that if they are not willing to trade their future picks in order to get a championship roster now, in order to go out and get a guy like Jaylen Brown, then that means they are comfortable missing the playoffs even with Steph Curry running out his career on their team. And as we heard from Steph, he does not want to be on a bottom feeder. He wants to be on a contending roster. Steph Curry getting moved to a team like the Heat would immediately give him what he wants, a chance to compete with Giannis and Bam and try for a championship for the rest of his career. Yes, Kristaps Porzingis is talented. That is a plus. But Kristaps has also played in just 74 games combined the last 2 seasons as his injury concerns keep growing bigger.
God damn, hold on. I was looking at the top. It's right here. Bro, 15 games, 17 games, 32 games. Oh, no, my bad. This is the same fucking season. I forgot he played for the fucking Hawks this year. Yeah, so he played 32 games right here. That's for this past season. 42. 57 is not terrible. 65, just barely. Bro, Boston used this nigga.
Combined the last 2 seasons.
Bro, he was playing really well in the playoffs, too. Bro, I love Basketball Reference. Bro, his numbers are not bad at all. What the fuck? Bro, he played with Luka. You would have thought he was a bum. Like the way people was talking about him and shit.
As his injury concerns keep growing bigger. And Steph on a team like the Heat or the Rockets would immediately make them a real contender for the rest of Steph's career. And it would give Joe Lacob what he so obviously wants, the chance to prove that he can win a championship without Steph Curry. We might forget that the 2025 Golden State Warriors were actually not that far away from being a real championship contender. Yes, they lost in the second round of the playoffs in 5 games to the Wolves, but Steph only played in games game 1 of that series. And in game 1, the Golden State Warriors took home a win and then crumbled in the next
I remember
four.
that.
Before
Yeah.
In the regular season, once the Warriors brought in Jimmy Butler, they were one of the best teams in the entire NBA. Before Jimmy, they were sitting at 25-26. With him, they finished the year with a 23-8 record, over a 74% win percentage, which would make them a 60-win team over an 82-game season. And they were able to go into Houston playing a 2 seed and win game 7 on the road to make it to the second round. That just shows us how incredible Steph Curry still is, though. Because without Steph, they were nothing. They lost 4 straight games to the Wolves, proving that Steph is still a big-time ceiling raiser if he's on the right team like the Heat, and that the Warriors are the bottom feeder he has been afraid of without it. Steph Curry cannot afford to waste any more time here. And unfortunately for him, the front office's genius 2-timeline approach already cost them a chance to build a championship core for this season. As I know, it is very hard to keep a dynasty alive for over a decade. No one is arguing that, and hindsight is 2020. Except the Warriors have seemingly done everything they possibly can do to fail Steph Curry over the last few years. In the 2020 draft, they had the number 2 pick and took James.
Bro, this shit still baffles me to this day. I was so high on this kid too, bro. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was not high on him. I was high on Wiseman. I've seen like what he could be, especially for what the Warriors needed. They never had like the potential I thought he had. Was like all-star big level. You know what I mean? They had DeMarcus Cousins after, his prime, and you had JaVale McGee was probably the best big that they had because he could run with them. He was athletic. He can play make a bit. Like, people are sleeping on JaVale McGee, but bro, James Wiseman at the time, I'm like, dog, this kid's gonna be generational for them, and they're gonna win again. They ended up winning, but
James Wiseman 1 spot ahead of LaMelo Ball. An all-time mistake, as Wiseman.
That's not a mistake, bro. If you would have got LaMelo in Golden State, he still wouldn't be in Golden State. He would not even be in Golden State because you still had Jordan Poole in them at the time, bro. That wasn't gonna be the case. I'm sorry, they needed a big. That's one thing I hate about, like, when people talk about drafts. They draft based on what they currently need. They're not gonna just draft on fucking names. You have Steph Curry already. You would have got another guard. You ain't had no bigs.
Is already out of the NBA, while under the Warriors system, LaMelo
It's
Ball
easy
may
to
have
say
been
that.
a tremendous success with more discipline and while learning under Steph Curry. At the very least, he would have been an amazing trade asset when he was an all-star in year 2. He was the type of young player that would have attracted other big names. And one mistake is fine, but somehow
Cap, because where are the other big names that went to Charlotte? I'm sorry. I made a video talk about this on TikTok too, how nobody seriously would like to play with LaMelo Ball, like on a serious level up until this point. Now he's in Minnesota. Hopefully, they do something. I think they're second round exit as well. Because they gave away all their legit bigs. They gave away Karl Anthony Towns and Nas fucking Reed. Now you're going to rely on Rudy Gobert, who has no fucking post work. Okay, I get it. You got LaMelo for the lobs and shit. That might work, but
things got more awful. In the 2021 draft, the Warriors took Jonathan Kuminga 1 spot before Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner is a near all-star level talent, another miss, and then they took Moses Moody 2 picks before Alfred Sengun, who is an all-star, and 3 picks before Trey Murphy, who they now want to trade for. One single wrong decision is defensible. When it becomes a pattern, you just have to blame a bad front office. And maybe the 2-timeline approach would have worked if they had drafted the right talent, but once they did not draft the right talent, the Warriors needed to make moves in order to fix things. But because Joe Lacob was so stuck on life after Steph Curry, Golden State decided that they never wanted to trade their young assets in order to bring in better talent next to Steph when they actually had a chance. CJ Holmes reported back in 2023, the Warriors made a hard push for Raptors forward OG Anunoby at the trade deadline. However, I'm told the asking price was too high. Wanted Jonathan Kuminga, others plus pick.
bro, what the fuck? Yo, I never understood why they were dick sucking Kuminga so hard. Like, to this day, I don't care. I'll say it. He's not like that. Like, I'm not saying he's trash, but he's not what they're trying to make it seem like he is. He's not going to become some all-star, bro. He's just an athlete on your team, bro. You could have got OG. Y'all are fucking smoking cock, dude. That is crazy.
Golden State could have had OG, but Kuminga was off the table for them. OG just helped the Knicks win a championship. He averaged over 20 points per game in the playoffs. He would be incredible next to Steph Curry, and it doesn't stop there. In the summer of 2024, Lauri Markkanen was available, and Golden State was willing to give up Moses Moody. The problem? They weren't willing to include Brandon Podziemski, and that was the deal breaker. Lauri Markkanen just
Oh my gosh. I thought they never really came out publicly like that. At least I didn't see the reports up until now about the package for fucking marketing. I thought it wasn't worth it. That's more than worth it. Bro, Moses Moody and fucking Pods? Yo, Steve Kerr gotta be topping them off, bro. Steve Kerr gotta be topping off Pods. I'm serious.
Averaged 26.7 points per game. Only somehow, also, the front office listened to Draymond Green, who largely blocked this deal. Draymond heavily argued with the front office to stop it, later saying, "I think if you want to do something so huge, you better be certain that this is the move. You usually don't win those things against Danny Ainge. I look at history." Now that is true about Danny Ainge, but sitting on your fingers and doing nothing also leads to nothing changing and having a bottom feeder type roster. Let's remember Golden State also pursued Paul George and also were not willing to move enough for him. The same Paul George who the Celtics just traded Jaylen Brown for. Then, by the time Giannis was available, the big fish they actually wanted, Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski, were all no longer valuable enough assets to actually go and bring him in. The two-timeline approach has failed in spectacular fashion, and so let's just be honest with ourselves here. If you take Steph Curry off of the current Warriors roster, do they win 20 games? Without Jimmy, I think the answer is easily no, and even with him,
20 games without Jimmy? What you got? Draymond, yeah, Al Horford, Moses Moody, Pods. 20 games? I think they could give you a good 25. I think they could get like 25. They could get over 20.
Coming off of a major injury, the Warriors would be one of the worst teams in
Nah, I take that back. I ain't gonna lie to you.
the NBA without Steph. But what we know is Steph is too loyal and too professional to actually say he wants out of Golden State before he is 100% certain of his decision. We also know the Warriors have just pushed things too far. I would say they have openly disrespected Steph by continually talking about life after him while he is still producing at a level to go and win a championship. Things have gotten so extreme that they've really left Steph with two choices. He can continue to play out his career on Golden State, a team that realistically will never compete for a championship again, or like we have heard from his own mouth, he could choose to leave and go and play for a contending roster. A team like the Heat, where he can reunite with Clay, where he can go and play with Giannis and Bam, or the Rockets, where you have a championship core in place already with Kevin Durant and one of the best young players in basketball in Amen Thompson. Places where you'd compete for a championship in 2027 and for the rest of your career, and at the very least, make deep playoff runs and possibly compete for a championship. 2 years ago, Steph Curry told the Warriors openly he does not want to play on a terrible team. They did not listen. They did not make enough moves to give him a championship roster or even a playoff roster. And because of that, we very well could watch Steph Curry make a decision that will shake the NBA to its core. So there we have it. Thank you for watching.
Yo, I would love nothing more than Steph Curry to come to the Miami Heat. You know, that's just me being selfish, but at the same time, it just made sense. Because I was looking at his contract situation, and I seen that this is the last year on his deal. So if he doesn't sign an extension and goes into free agency next summer, the Heat just make one of the top choices to me. Just because they need, in Miami currently, we need floor spacing, right? I think we have decent shooting. People that don't watch it, they don't know. We have decent shooting. But you add Steph Curry to that equation, bro. I don't care if it's year 19 for Curry that next season. He's still the greatest shooter to ever play basketball. That would change everything. Oh my goodness, man. Let me know what you think. Do you think Curry's going to end up leaving? I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't leave, but I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves either. You know, I'll catch you on the next one.